All right, so it was pretty neat. Yesterday we saw Night Before Christmas, and then we saw my other favorite Burton film, Sleepy Hollow. For me, as I've said, it's my favorite version of the Headless Horseman story. Probably my favorite Tim Burton movie, if not for that, or then Pee Wee, Corpse Bride, and other ones. But I love Tim Burton, so. And this was so cool because, again, my story, 99, I wasn't old enough to watch this in theaters, but my friends and I always said it looked cool. It always looked cool. I remember, I remember that was in theaters and South Park's movie. And we're like, we wanted to see it, but we can't go see it. We're not old enough to. And, of course, stuff like that. But this movie is so good. I absolutely love it. So it was so cool to see it in theaters. And I feel like they've been listening to us in a way. Wink. When I made that list of movies that need to be released this year for their anniversary years, they've done it. It's like, hey, we mentioned that, and then there's The Mask. We mentioned that, and then there's this, and now Sleepy Hollow. What next? So I'm kind of excited for it. I love the movie. I know, 25 years, still good. I love the over-the-topness. I love the Tim Burton feel of everything again. I mean, it just... When our buddy from Late Night with the Devil was doing this again, I was like, I was getting ready to tell him, I was like, holy crap, it's one of those Paramount Fangoria things. Just like when we saw Friday the 13th Part 4. So I'm like, I bet you they're going to have a fun little thing at the beginning. And then you learn about the stuff from him and talking about, how they built, like, the town in the UK and all that. Like, they actually built how they built the little, 3 months instead it took them to build, like, the whole town and then the windmill, all that neat stuff. So that's what I love about the practical stuff there, just like I love how red the blood is in this movie. It's such a bright red. I love just the over-the-topness of it. Everything about it. And I know people are like this, so I always feel bad that he's been blacklisted. So, F to everybody who calls it. But I love Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, perfect combination. Always have been, and I feel like always will be. And there's just something about this movie. I love the fact that with his take on Ichabod, I love the whole... He's a guy that works with death and all this stuff there, and I love when he falls every time. Every time. Just a little, he doesn't have to make a sound, it's just, like at the ending, where it's all over, and he's just... I love it. It's such a neat little quirk there. And then you have Christina Ricci in there, always loved her. She's amazing as Katrina. I love the fact that, like, everybody's in there. You got Christopher Lee. And then, as you mentioned, you pointed out, I'm like, see, I love that kind of stuff. When he's like, you need to go to Sleepy Hollow. And then you can see the shot, there's stuff in the background, and then you have Angel Wing here and an Angel Wing there. So amazing. I love that stuff there. I love the thing with the bird in the cage flipping around, the symbolism with all that. All the symbolism, the nods, the things going there with the... Keep this book close to your heart. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff there because then it's that usual payoff at the end, which works so well. I love it. And I love how everybody is like in this movie. Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman, and even without the head, how well, like, the person in the suit, whatever, did to give, like, you could see the expression. That's good acting again. Who's that? I still like that idiot. Who's that guy from that Halo series that got canceled? Where he's like, well, you have to see my face. I'll never forget him talking like, you have to see my face, or else how I'm acting, how how I'm feeling. Plenty of examples to show you that you don't need this to show off your acting skills. You're just a bad actor if you can't do it. Sorry, not sorry. And this guy here, he doesn't have a freaking head. And I'm sitting there just watching the mannerisms, the body language from this, and you can tell, like, the moments where he's like, he's pissed. He's just had enough. A silly scene where he's like, it's just, you can see his head, you can picture a head going when he's about to smack into the tree. Stuff like that, and I love the whole, like that stuff there where he just, with his weapons and everything, just the badass. I love how he goes head-to-head in combat with people. It's not just that whole slick slice and dice. Like, he goes head-to-head with people. Head-to-head?
Yep.
Damn, I mean, I just love, again, it's that Tim Burton feel. How the coloring, the lighting, the mood, just everything about it, the trees, everything is always that gothic horror. Just, it's that feel you get when you watch this stuff there and you look at it, and like when you're looking in the woods, it's scary. And that's what I love about it. This movie has good elements. It has great horror to it and everything. And it's got that little bit of comedy that works. And a second, after I let you say what you want to say for a little bit, I'm gonna compare this to something I've just seen recently and show you how this does better than that. If you want to go into this horror route of everything. And again, I feel like watching this, I guess it's been a curse seeing stuff side by side again. Because I'm like, wow, that third outing really just, when you see another movie that does stuff similar and do it better, it's just how I feel. If you don't know, I'm talking about Terrifier 3, and we'll get to that in a second, where the disappointment was there, where this did all that movie did better. And it's because you have all these. And then again, like I said, you have freaking Dumbledore. You have Alfred from the Batman movies in there. You have, from episode 1, Palpatine. You have, you got everybody in there. Again, as I'm saying, I love how he takes in the little boy, the young Mazbeth. I like how the boy steps up. Like, he's like, I'm a boy, but I want to avenge, and then do this up there. And I love how he takes him under his wing, and then the ending, it's so sweet. I love the bond between there and how emotional. He does a great job of that. He gets emotional, he gets this. Everyone does good. And this has, for me, I applaud the ending with the satisfying end to a horrible, despicable character. That this is one of those ones where I clap and applaud at the death of the villain. Not the Horseman, the true villain. Because this is one where I'm like, you get what you deserve. I love it. And it's so satisfying when you see bad people get what they deserve. And yes, and stuff like that where the horse, every time, they've shown it, they do it twice in the movie, where he comes out from the dead. That twisted tree is so Tim Burton again and horrific. When it comes out of the tree, the horse and him riding it, it's an amazing freaking shot. I love it. But that is such a cool visual. And then the visuals in general are just so amazing. And it has some of my most favorite scenes in there. One of my two of the best scenes in that movie are two of my favorite scenes ever. I love when they're in the church and the whole thing where the horseman can't go into the holy grounds, like church and all that stuff there. I absolutely love that. And then he finds a way around it. It is creative. It's smart. It's holy crap. Like, and then just it's so clever to drag him out, get his head over the fence so he can do it. I love that scene so much. There's tension in there. And then everyone tensions up in there because they start going after one another. And I absolutely love that kind of stuff. Absolutely amazing. And then I guess I'll go on the other scene in a second, but what do you have to say?
Well, back to the church scene. It reminds me of that one vampire movie where they drag the
John Carpenter's Vampires. I love that. That's one of my favorite vampire movies. It's one of my favorite, there's I can do a list of, it's one of those things where it's like, I love Halloween, but damn it, there's so many John Carpenter movies, and I'm like, when you got, I don't know, The Thing, I don't know, and then there's other ones too that I just love so much. More than just Halloween.
I don't know. It's something about this movie is really done well. And I agree. It is definitely one of my favorite Sleepy Hollow movies of all time. How can you not?
I mean, for me,
I like the
best version, Disney, and then can't forget, after those two, Wishbone.
Yeah. Everybody loves Wishbone. But something about taking a horror, taking this nice, creepy story and bringing it into this nice gothic feel that Tim Burton can do. And I like how it's also kind of like a mystery.
Mm-hmm. The detective work, and they change it up with Ichabod for that. I like that a lot.
I love how you can take horror and mix it with different genres. And mystery is definitely a good one to do, especially with a supernatural mystery. And I did like, as you said, the use of blood, like when he was chopping into that tree.
It's funny. That's where it's funny. Again, we're getting a little head right here, but this is... Damn. But again, in terms of Terrifier, it's supposed to be horror comedy, and the blood and the stuff gushing out. It's more funny when you see it done in this. I think this does a better job of that stuff. This makes me think Evil Dead. Terrifier, when they do that kind of stuff there, for the most part, doesn't make me think of Evil Dead. I know they try to be that over-the-top goriness and the silliness with Evil Dead, but it doesn't scream Evil Dead to me. You know what I'm saying? This is more Evil Dead, where he's sitting there doing this, and it just, because it's always like something always getting to Ash's face. And this works perfectly. And again, it works with Depp as Ichabod, where he's like, and it's just, it's like when we were making that one movie, back in the
Yeah,
day.
yes.
And we had to get the bottle of blood spray, and then she's just getting it all over the
Yeah.
face, and it's like, oh, and you're doing it, you can't help but kind of snicker. You're like, oh, I feel bad. You feel bad. She's like, oh, no, it's okay. Just, you got to keep going, and then we're all just, because it's like the blood is cold and it's getting on her skin. And it's something like that where you can see him like, where it's just the annoyance, and it works so well, and it looks good.
Definitely.
When you work with blood and stuff, you know how good that can be.
The use of that red blood in such a dark film, it really pops.
It's like that, like with the cardinal being the redness of the cardinal, and then the stuff with the mom always gets me.
Yes.
It's such a good, haunting memory of his. The Iron Maiden thing, it's creepy and disturbing. I like that shot where he comes out after he's done it, and then you see it go this way, and it looks like he has no head.
Yeah.
Because his collar is up like this, but as he walks by, it looks like the Horseman's walking that way.
Yep.
So much visual stuff. It's amazing. And I feel like people don't do that enough anymore nowadays.
Well, definitely. They'll try to, we'll just throw an homage. But the homages are not as good
as you just doing it yourself and thinking. It's what I like about Burton. It's what I liked about like Wes Anderson, when he would he'd want to have the back, the background, the wallpaper, that stuff in the background in the house or whatever is just as much as an importance as the people in the shot. It's something like that. Like, you watch that stuff, you watch Pushing Daisies, you watch everything. Is like, you love that. I love that stuff.
What's also good about this film is that the people they chose to play the actors. I mean, the actors they chose to play the characters. It's like, I know you, and I know you, and I know you, and it's not just that. It's that they're actually good. They're
always
parts.
good. It's entertaining, and again, all the deaths and everything with the heads going and everything. Casper Van Dien as Brom. That's another scene that always sticks with you because, again, going back to Terrifier, I'm more like every time like, wow, and especially when I first saw it, when he goes head to head with the Horseman, and then just to see him go in two. Yeah. That is more of a holy shit. Like, I'd be like, pretty just much like that. It's not so much when I'm watching, like, say, a Terrifier 3, or I'm like, but then it's like, damn, I wasn't expecting that, because you expect it. And of course, for me, I feel like Johnny Depp and Tim Burton are like real good together. Like that, he's the muse for him at that time, and now it's just a manly muse, which is kind of interesting how he always worked with him. I love that. They go together so well, just as the obvious Danny Elfman do the music. Every time. I mean, that music, I love how, they still do stuff where it's just like the opening credits where it's just, where the credits and everything is this long 2-minute thing at the beginning of the movie. And then the stuff at the ending, too. So I still like that stuff there. You get just that music and the scenery, the setting of everything as he's going through. From, England to, to Sleepy Hollow. We're getting a little British here. But it's just, Danny Elfman's music is always, you gotta have Danny Elfman when you have Tim Burton. It's as much as an importance and a character and a feel of the movie as everything else is.
Yes, and this movie has really such a good feel that goes throughout the whole thing. It's well written and well shot. It is so coherent. Everything how well works together, and I just sometimes I wish that Tim Burton would do more of this kind of stuff.
That's why I was so happy with Beetlejuice 2, where he wanted to go with more of a practical again, just like what he did with because he did I think a little bit more. I also like Dark Shadows a lot. I love that movie, and he did use some more practicalness in that because I think he was happy to do that kind of stuff. I think he did that with the Wednesday series. Or he's kind of happy doing that more than when he was doing Alice, because he said it was just too much of the CGI and green screening. So he is always nice. I mean, if you got to do some of it, it's still nice to have a balance, at least some practical. So it's nice to get those practical effects, and it just looks good. The headless things, the stuff splurting out, everything it looks good. It's good, and I think you took this horrific, scary story from Washington Irving. Again, that's my favorite. That and A Christmas Carol are my two favorite stories, thus becoming two of my favorite films of all time, too, because Alistair Sim, Christmas Carol is probably my favorite movie ever. It's a headbutt with a lot of people for that top spot for me. And then this is just my favorite version of Stephen Howard, and I love these stories. I still I want to go to Sleepy Hollow on Halloween one day and see if I can face the Horseman. It's crazy, it's silly, but I love this story since a child, and it's just my favorite stuff there. And this took that and made it into this creepy, eerie, just everything about it. Just it is the, like, how I would picture like a really good horror movie, and a horrific thing to happen at that time for this story. I think it's very it really genuine and realistic for a fake horror story.
You know what's so good about this? The feel of how they take the story and bring it to life, and yet change it in their own way.
Mm.
They make it their own, and yet still feel true to the characters.
Yep.
Which is very impressive. Some people
I love Depp's
butcher
performance
things.
in that so much. And then I like how, the young boy was just like, how could she be the one that is when she has such a kind soul? It's like, it's true. You see her go and do all this stuff there with the spells and the witchcrafty stuff there. But then she does have the kind of... So then it does make you wonder. I know they're trying to make you think things, but then because just how good she is, and she does a great job of it. And I just love, like, him and his little tech thing there, Imagine how those people must think, like, of him when they see him put the little things on his head, and his way of thinking. I like that he uses that way of thinking too to back things up instead of just like, just toss the body. But we want to know why. If he's in the river, that means he, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, but which gave him to believe the part where he, at the end, where he solves with the mark on the, and he's like, wait a minute, and he figures things out, and the optics, and so much smart cleverness, and they're really great screenplay, great job writing and everything.
Especially doing that for such a supernatural way of people dying by the undead itself.
And again, it's so scary. I love the Jack Skellington little homage there, because at the beginning, he had that little pumpkin scarecrow, which is like Jack before he jives into the thing and becomes Jack Skellington in the opening.
Yeah.
Then had that little kind of weather vane scarecrow that just and everything. Everything's horrific. I like, and gunpowder. Slaps him on the butt, and it looks like gunpowder came off his butt. And I like the little nod I just found out where Johnny Depp adopted the horse when they were going to put him down, so they kept him. So yay for gunpowder. And then one last thing, as I said, compare again, where I'm like, they want to do horror, they want to do comedy, they want to do this over the top stuff there. This movie, as I've explained it a couple of times, how it's better than Terrifier 3. Where I'm starting to realize Terrifier 2, again, they did all that stuff there, but I felt like it had a story in this. I feel like, for me, 3 just didn't have a story in it. You went from a big story thing to this where I'm like, there was hardly any story in this, and it went right back to just being, all of the whole point of this movie is just the torture prawn. That's basically it. And I was like, where's the story? Because I know they say, well, it's that usual thing that's like, oh, well, the fourth one's going to be the conclusion to this story. It's like, so this was just the usual filler before we get to that. And I'm tired of that stuff. You can do that, but still get a good enough story. And this is where this movie, again, shines. Story is the key. This movie has over-the-top violence, a lot of blood and guts, head decapitations, all that good stuff. But there is a story throughout the entire damn thing, and a very well-done story. Great acting, and great development through the characters, and you learn a lot about all these characters. And that's where that third Terrifier falls flat, because they do all that stuff there and they don't have story. This is 25 years old, and this, I think, kicks the crap out of that movie, just for the fact that it does all that stuff that Terrifier wants to do, but there's story involved in characters. We're not just following the Headless Horseman around killing people. There's other people that we're caring about. Thus, my biggest thing was everyone talking about the opening scene to Terrifier 3. And to me, I felt, because you knew about it. They were talking about it, You know it from the trailers, the teasers. And they kept talking about that, the opening scene. When you start doing that, it makes me feel like you're talking too much and you're doing too much of this, and then it doesn't live up to it, I guess, yeah. Because you already know they're going to kill a family on Christmas and kids. You know that. So it's just, and then it was the same, like I've said in the, I don't want to beat a dead, but with the parents and the stuff, you see the kids off screen. You knew it was coming. Like, that because they talked about this is going to be the opening to the movie. So you know what's going to happen. And you don't feel any, like, for me, I didn't feel that bad. Because you knew it was coming, because that's what they want to do. We want to kill kids to show you how edgy we are. I get it. To show art's this sick person. In this movie, another scene that always gets me is there's the scene where, you know, the little boy, and he has little things that lights in the room, and the horseman's coming for that family. That's a tense scene. That is a scary scene, on the edge of your seat, wonder what's going to happen, because you have the child in that. The mother hides the child under the floorboards and all that stuff there, trying to protect. The dad's out there, again, doing his best, and he's doing a good job fighting the mother effer. Gets killed. Then you see the poor mom get killed. Now, the whole time, the music's playing. The stuff's getting more amped. You're seeing the kid looking around like this and there. You hear the mother get killed, and then the shot, he looks up, and she's looking down through the crack in the board. Holy crap. He gets in there, he walks out, you're like, okay, I guess the kid's safe. But it's that whole time, it's like, is the kid going to be safe? You know, you're worrying. I'm worrying the whole time watching that thing there. Then he walks out, and he looks back, and he's like, wait a minute. Goes down there and does stuff there. That was more intense for me than, because when you first see the movie, you didn't know what was going to happen. With Terrifier 3, they bragged about, oh, just you wait. This is going to get people to puke. And it's like, then you kind of earning, like, you know it's coming. Oh, just you wait for the chainsaw scene. It's like, and you can't blame people online doing it. It's Damien himself and all them talking about, oh, just you wait till that scene. It's like, stop it. Because now it's like, you know, you're doing the thing like The Exorcist, where they did the thing where they did all these weird things to get people up for that back in the day. Where it's kind of like, okay, it's all about that then. And it's not about the characters or story. It's all about that spectacle and trying to say, hey, we made people run out. We made people vomit. We made people do this. It's like, are you talking about anything other than Art's kills every movie? This has a lot of amazing kills. That church scene is one of my favorites. Holy crap. Holy. But I talk about the actors and everything else about this movie, the characters. Every character in that movie, in small parts, that one family, you get introduced to them a little bit early on, and it's just enough to know that, hey, wait, there's a kid involved in this moment. What's the Horseman? It's like, and you're watching, it's more tense, the way it's shot and everything. More tense in that scene than it was the opening scene of Terrifier 3, which I feel like they rely too much on Art's kills than anything else, and which is a shame, because I loved 1 and 2. But 3 is just proving that, is that all they're offering? 4 needs to change that, or else I'll be like, I'm sorry, you're trying to push them up there with the other ones there, but you're never going to be Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers, because they still had stuff, even with the bad ones, they were more than just their kills. So I hope that's not what they're doing, because 1 and 2, great movies. 3rd was like, really? That's all it was spectacle. I hope 4 does more. They're supposed to be, so let's hope. But this movie kicks all of that stuff what that movie did and just does it better. Because I felt for the characters. I felt for the stuff there, and there was story and characters involved. And that's why Sleepy Hollow from Tim Burton is amazing. And yeah, happy 25 to it.
I know we keep talking a little bit too much about Terrifier 3, but I feel like for them, not just because people knew it was coming, but really, Terrifier 3 opener didn't really have too much effect on the whole movie. It's like, here's Christmas, now let's go back.
And then they never really come like back you were thinking, which made me think too, because I knew, like, spoilers, the head in the cage didn't look like the hair of the certain character they said it was.
Right.
So then, like you were thinking, unless that was the girl from the opening, then that would make sense.
Or even this, the boy. But either way,
which I'm saying that would make sense, because the hair was too long. It looked like for it to be a certain someone's head. So I'm kind of like, okay, that would make sense. But for that opening to happen, it's what you do. You have to have your shock opening. It's like Scream. They do the little opening thing, you know, with the opening kill, title, and then off to the story. But at the same time, I don't know, Scream does it better.
But Sleepy Hollow does have an opening kill scene, but it actually does have an effect on the movie. What happens in the beginning not only builds up to something, but there's something in the beginning of the movie that comes back later in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So they do a good job of weaving things in and throwing a little stuff that will come back later.
Oh, yeah, a lot through that movie. Very solid.
I think people don't give this movie enough credit. Well, at least, you know, I don't think people are It's not as well known as I think for at least the younger generations and people from nowadays.
That's nice. Yeah,
I think it's a pretty solid horror film. Or yeah,
it's got the
or
horror, it's
thriller.
got the action. Like I said, the Horseman having acting through just the body, and I love when they're chasing the chase scene at the end. Like he's dragging on, and then he'll just like then he get kicked off by Ichabod, and he'll just slide and then grab onto the horse and get back on type of stuff. There, it's like holy crap, that's a force.
Yeah.
A horse, of course.
I know everyone knows basically the story of Sleepy Hollow, so that's why one of my favorite scenes I like is the bridge scene. Not just because the guy gets cut in half, but the whole thing where he like disappears. It's like, oh
yeah, it's cool.
It's
yeah,
and they're like, and then
you hear that, and they're like, and then you see from behind, and you're like, holy crap! And I love that whole thing there, where it's like I like the idea that someone's got his head and they're controlling him for the kills. I like how that's you do that. They saw that. I like how Ichabod, because he's trying to tell him like he's not after you, leave him alone. That's the thing. You're gonna get yourself killed because he's not after you. And he's like, I tried to tell him. I tried to, and he only does that because get out of my way. But even still, he'd be like, gets him in the leg there and just then walks off.
Yeah,
like leave me alone. But he kept insisting to the point where he was like, I guess fuck it. Right. I have no choice now. Die, leave me alone. Or it's just kind of, I like that. So that was very well played out throughout the movie.
Well, yeah, and because anyone he's basically put a mark on, he basically takes off their head, and in that one he just like cuts them in half. So there's definitely a difference, and I like when they do subtle things like that. It shows great writing and great directing in the movie, and as you said, they do a lot of practical effects in this. I think there's only like 2 scenes I think that might have CGI with the eyes bugging out.
Yeah.
That looked the fakest, but the other one with the skull regenerating, that looks flawless. I thought that looked really good.
And it's freaky.
It is.
But that's the point, though. It's like it's supposed to be freaky, and Burton does that because it makes you think of, so he's good at that. It's scary, horrific, but at the same time, he wants to throw that kind of stuff in there, which is what I like about him so much. I think the man's genius, but
he is. I wish he can go back to more of some of this stuff. All right, so if you like Sleepy Hollow,
Tim Burton's 1999 Sleepy Hollow, 25th anniversary. So it was pretty neat that they put in theaters. I was happy to finally see it on the big screen.
It was definitely an experience. If you like the movie, let us know. So comment, like the video, subscribe if you're not, and keep it gnarly.
See you next time.